It's me, Captain. My mommy is the best. Super mom will be next. She helps mommy get their smiles back, their giggles back, and their sparkle back. You wait for the straw brush. Get ready for that super discovery and super strong.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Healing for the Soul podcast. It is your go-to resource for parents and want-to-be parents who strive for success without sacrificing connection and well-being. Each episode delivers actionable strategies and inspiring insights to help you build emotional intelligence and resilience for yourself and for your family. Strengthen relationships with yourself, your partner, and your children. Master parenting as an entrepreneur, even while raising young children. Discover life and parenting hacks that simplify your journey. Explore hypnosis and other healing modalities for a deeper transformation. This podcast isn't just about parenting and a fertility journey. It's about creating harmony, wealth, and alignment in every area of life. Let's get started. This is Season, and today's episode is sponsored by Confidently Mommin with Melissa Schulz. And Melissa Schulz is an MS, BCBA, and is a parenting coach and a behavior analyst who helps parents of strong-willed, highly sensitive, and neurodiverse kids turn daily struggles into calmer, more connected moments using her proven process. Thank you so much, Melissa, for being here. What does the MS and the BCBA mean? That's a tongue twister for sure.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. Basically, I have my Master's of Science in Counseling. That's the MS. And then I'm a board certified behavior analyst. No one has really heard of that one. But what that means is I have intensively at a graduate level studied human behavior, why we behave the way we do, and really effective ways to help change some of those bad habits or behaviors for all humans. And then my specialty is helping, kind of using that to help kids learn more appropriate behaviors and help us as parents change some of our own maybe negative habits or behaviors that we're stuck in.
Oh, I know about that. I know about the behavior partly because, like I said, mentioned a little bit was like the yelling. So I'm like,
Yeah.
It's definitely a habit. And yes, I'm a hypnotherapist, so I understand like how to change the habit and like how to change at the subconscious level. That's really where the change has got to come from.
Yeah.
But like we got the strong-willed children for the life of them. I've got one. Actually two if you count the one with autism, but he's not really, that's no fault of his own. The other one, he's a strong-willed child, and I'm like, Lord help me.
I have two neurodiverse kids and one very strong-willed, and that's all three of them. So yes, everything I do, it's from like 20 years of professional experience, but also 12 years of personal experience of being a mom of all the things.
Well, I think being a mom is what really gets the experience. Like there's book knowledge, and then there's the experience, and the experience is all. So how do you not yell or lose your cool when your kids are being their strong-willed self, that you're just like, okay, I got to remember I'm raising somebody else's spouse. That's what I keep trying to remind myself. I'm raising somebody else's spouse, and how do I want them to respond in their situation?
Yeah. So there's a couple things. I think like before we can even talk about how to not yell, I want to talk about why we do yell. Okay. And so there's a lot of things happening. Some of it is like just what was modeled to us as kids. Like often we grow up with parents who yell. So all of our parents are trying their very best with the skills and the tools they have, but maybe they just kind of learn to yell. And so that's what was modeled to us for 18 years is when things don't go your way or when you're mad, you yell. And so often we have that kind of learning history and that becomes our default. And so maybe we even try to use willpower, like I'm going to try harder, I'm going to stay calm, I'm going to be patient. And then, like the 20th time you repeat yourself or the 5th time you repeat yourself, you find yourself yelling because willpower is like, you can't count on willpower. It runs out.
Yep, it sure does.
Right. So it's really about changing the habit. So one is like, maybe that's just what's been modeled to you forever. So give yourself grace that was like really the only way you were taught to manage your own emotions. And also, it's so important to break that cycle because then your kids are going to be learning the exact same thing. So, other reasons why this one people are less aware of is like what's actually happening inside of our body when we yell. And so, often, parents, we are under chronic stress. And so, when we are functioning well, we have a great survival instinct. Our fight or flight instinct is when our unconscious, subconscious perceives danger to our life, it puts us into fight or flight. We have no control over when this happens. It happens so quickly. It's like automatic. And then when we're in fight or flight, it's very helpful if there's like a bear, right? Bears used to be a much bigger problem for us than they are today. So when there is a bear, what you want is to be able to run away really fast. That's the fight or flight. And so what your body will do for you without you telling it to is all the blood leaves your brain. It shuts off your prefrontal cortex, which is the helpful part of your brain that makes good decisions and solves problems. It's not wasting any resources on that. It's sending all the blood to your limbs so you can either fight or flee. So very helpful when bears were like a big thing. But today, what happens is our fight or flight, when we're under chronic stress, gets overly sensitized. So we start going into fight or flight with not on purpose, but over small things. So maybe your kid leaves their sock on the ground and your brain perceives that as a threat to your survival because it's just under so much stress. So then you have a little person in front of you with their sock on the ground and all the blood leaves your brain. You can no longer use your problem solving, that part of your brain that can keep you calm and make good decisions and like decide how to get the sock. It's not working. It's switched off. All the blood is in your limbs and that yelling is like that fight instinct, which just kind of takes over despite your best efforts. So when we change behavior, we want to look at our history, what we've been exposed to, but also like what's happening right now in our nervous system. And we want to make sure we're doing the work to regulate and like set our nervous system up for success, learn how to re-regulate our own nervous system so we stay out of fight or flight and we can keep using that very helpful prefrontal cortex to like do what we know we should be doing to respond to our kids' behavior.
That sounds a lot like my mom is more stressed than I am. And I'm like, I'm the one with all the kids. I'm the one that's running a business, editing, doing all the things by myself. Well, my husband, he's helping with the kids, of course.
Yeah.
But it's like, by your definition, it sounds like she's more stressed than I am. Because I'm like, I have more things that I've learned. Like, I always tell people, I'm like, deep breathing. Breathing is your friend.
Yes.
Like, even a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it helps.
It helps. Yeah. And it's interesting because everyone is different. Like some kids, like my kids, if you tell them to take deep breaths, they will refuse. They've heard that too much. And sometimes it's not enough for some emotion. So often for our kids, like maybe deep breathing, but there are like so many other things we can do as kids and adults. If deep breathing works, do it. But a lot of people I talk to, they are like, deep breathing is not helping me. And so there's lots of other things that we can do to like help re-regulate ourselves. But the crazy thing about our nervous system is it's not like you have your nervous system and your mom has her nervous system and all the kids have their own. You guys have one nervous system. And so when anyone is very dysregulated, everyone co-regulates to that. It kind of goes back, like, when your kid falls down when they're little and they fall down and they look at you to see how they're going to react.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of like that. Your kids are always picking up on your, like the emotions that you're exuding to know if it's safe or not. Right? Because if you just think biologically, it's very helpful if you are getting really stressed out about something, again, because there's a bear, all the kids without you even having to say something are going to pick up on that and it's going to send them into fight or flight too, so they can run with you.
So if I'm understanding correctly, like there's not just like the one nervous system, like you said, like I've got my own, my husband has his own.
Yeah.
So the one that's running the house, which is why like when my mom's out of the house, that everything seems like all of a sudden like it's calm, peaceful, because we're running on mine then, not. Well, that makes so much sense because like the main dominating energy that's low vibration, of course, dominates over the happy, positive, calming vibrations, like the more joyful and happiness,
Yeah, I mean, it does depend. Like if you really worked on you being very regulated, your mom might actually co-regulate with you and meet your calm. So it more just depends on how, right. And maybe not, I don't know.
Not yet, but it would be nice.
Our kids usually look to us as their parent and caregiver to know what they should be doing. And so one of my favorite things to say is like, our calm is contagious. but like not the
yeah,
like white knuckling calm. You know, when you're like faking it, like I'm not mad, but like
oh yeah,
you're
no,
clenched. That's not real
yeah,
calm, right? Like the
no,
genuine calm, regulated, like you can see it in your face and you can hear it in your voice. That is very contagious. But you're right. There are people that maybe walk into a room and then everyone's like hackles go up and everyone is
yeah,
tense.
yeah,
Or there are people where they walk in the room and everyone's like, oh, like I just feel so calm around you. Like, so that is like you kind of
yeah.
co-regulating with that other person's energy.
Oh no, that makes sense because I'm like, just the different terminology that you're using is different than what I'm used to using.
Yeah.
That's I'm like, I had to double check and make sure that I was understanding
Yeah.
correctly because I'm like, I know like we can affect, like through HeartMath they've done it where they've proven that we can affect another person 6 feet out away from us. So
Yes.
that's why I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so then the main dominating energy makes sense then because
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out how can I affect everybody in the house,
Yeah.
mostly my mom, to just be calm, let
Mhm.
things go.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, sometimes I need to just let things go too at the same
Yeah.
time because it's like we've got those old
Right.
programs that are like running
Mhm.
on default. And then it's like, okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like what you said, it's like being able to teach ourselves how to do it,
Yes.
but then in the moment. So it's like what you had said, it's like, we're just talking about the parent. We're not talking about the child yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like why they just don't want to listen and without having to lose our cool on that part of it. So
Mhm.
it's like, okay, the child gets to like number one to like by the time the fifth time it's like, okay, because they're sure I already had this done. Or
Yeah.
strong-willed child, it's like
Yeah.
they're different. I've got
They're
a couple of
different.
them that are the quote normal. You just tell them one time and they'll go do it.
Right.
Strong-willed child is like, God,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be lucky if I make it another day. I just want to make it one
Yeah.
more day. It's like day
And
by
that's so
day.
that's like my specialty and what I love is like all the kids where like the typical parenting things don't work. Like that's where I come in. And so these are like my favorite kids ever. And honestly, these kids like are gonna like do the best. Strong-willed kids rule the world. Like they make such a big difference and influence. They're wonderful adults. They are just hard like to raise at this phase. But the trick with strong-willed kids is when you repeat yourself a lot and then they don't listen, and then you yell, it actually becomes a cycle that everyone gets stuck in. Because what your smart, strong-willed kid realizes is that mom is not actually serious until she yells. So like we're actually teaching them to ignore all of the calm warnings and they'll do stuff when they yell. So I have a lot of people that come to me and they're like, my strong-willed kid only listens if I yell. That's the only thing that works. And this is why. It's like this we've kind of gotten this negative loop of like they just don't take us seriously when we're calm until we yell. That's when they think we mean business. And so a lot of it is us as parents is like owning that and then switching it up, like not repeating yourself more than twice and then doing something at that stage when you're still calm, they're still calm, kind of having a plan of how you're going to follow through on the thing in a way that's going to really work for your kids. So that way, like I would never repeat myself that many times. And also my kids know
Yeah.
if I say something calmly the first or second time, like I mean business. I say it calmly, but also I followed through almost every time. No one's perfect for their whole lives. And so they know if mom tells them to do something, it's happening, right? And
Oh yeah.
I never get to the yell. I'm not really a yeller in general. Like it takes a lot to get me there. I've done a lot of work on my own nervous system. So yelling is not,
Yes.
you get a lot of things before the yelling comes out. So that does not usually happen for me anymore, like, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, I don't even have to get there. My kids take me very seriously on my calm instructions because we always follow through.
Well, yeah, and that's very helpful because like what I said, I'm still learning how to do that in the household environment that's not exactly ideal, you know. And
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm like, okay, what can I do to help
Yes.
myself so that I'm still role modeling what I want to do? Because
Yes.
it's one of those things that it's just like, okay, I got to catch the program and switch it. But then, like
Yeah.
what you said about for getting it down to instead of like 15 times and you're yelling and all that down to,
Mhm.
okay, one time. So it's like
Yep.
one thing I did yesterday with my one that is very strong-willed. He may have ADHD at the same time.
Mm,
Pretty sure he does, along with ODD, because the way he is.
mm.
And he's gonna be something great in his life. I will give him that. Like what you said,
Yeah.
like they're very great as adults, and I
Yeah.
think that's where I'm learning now. Like he's gonna rule the world
Yeah.
in his sector. Like I can tell that.
Yes.
And at the same time, it's like right now, what I did yesterday, I'm like, you know what? If you want attention, the only way you're going to get attention from me is when you're doing something good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not giving you any more attention when you're bad. Like, that's not when he's bad, but like the bad behavior.
Right.
And I tried to explain to him about behavior, and I'm like, wait a minute, he does not understand behavior is yelling. Behavior is hitting. He doesn't understand that.
Right.
So it's like when they said about being a bad kid yesterday, I'm like, no, I don't have bad kids. I only have good kids.
There are no bad kids. Yes.
Yes, and they get the bad from my mom, but it's like I only have good kids. It's the behavior I don't want you to do. So it's like I told them, I like going to sleep, for an example. A lot of us struggle with it. I don't struggle with it with any of them except for just that one. He's the only one that I got struggle with. But even at night, it's like last night he was up running around, and it's like, okay, just settle down.
Yeah.
And then this morning when he woke up, I'm like, now you got to get to school. It was your choice. You chose to stay up. You chose to do these things.
Yeah.
But then getting them to go to bed and just like, okay, I just need to calm down. Like I put my arms out, like just release them. Just like, let that go. Let all that energy go. Wait until morning, or put it into something productive. I almost wonder if like that's what more of these strong-willed kids need, because they're very smart. It's just being able to channel that energy into something productive. So I'm just wondering, what do you do? Like the example that I gave for like my own child, like with all of like I was saying for how he's yelling. Oh, I'm not yelling, but like I'm just, you need to go to bed, and he's not going to bed, and repeatedly tell him to go to bed. What would you suggest in that moment?
Yeah. So here's where like my process is a little bit unique. So I actually have a 5-step proven process that I've created called Guide, and it works for any behavior challenge for all of the kids with more behaviors. But here's where it's a little bit different, because as parents, we want to know, what do I do when they're acting up, right? Like that's the question you just asked me. That's what everyone always asks me about the thing. And if you ask that in a Facebook group, you're going to get lots of conflicting answers. If you ask Google, Google's going to give you, or ChatGPT will give you a pretty list of like 10 things. Some of them will work for your kids, some of them won't. And then it just gets really frustrating because you don't know what will. And so the reason why a lot of those things don't work for these type of kids is because kids can do the same exact thing for different reasons. So like every challenging behavior, like all behavior is communication. Our kids aren't doing this to like bother us or keep us up late, right? Probably at 6, like it really isn't a choice that he's up. He's like overtired and probably running around and not making any conscious decisions, right? So it is a natural consequence to still have to go to school, but like he probably did not. That was not actually a choice. He maybe just out of control. So what I like to do, but like you could have, 8 kids in your house that are all running around at night. I'm glad you don't, but they could all be doing it for very different reasons. And so my answer, whenever I do lots of trainings and webinars and people ask me specifics, and I'm so annoying because I'm always like, it depends. Because it depends on why your kid is doing it. And there are basic reasons why all of our kids do it, but you could be doing, like, you could have 2 kids next to each other doing the exact same behavior for very different reasons, communicating very different needs. And so we want to know what they're trying to communicate, and that way we can just teach them a better way to meet that need or communicate that need. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Because I'm just like thinking like for the listeners at the same time, because that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like I get irritated by a lot of like the coaches out there and like the people that are trying to help, where they're like, oh, they have like this step, like this framework that they use for every single person. I'm like, it does not work, because every person is different as to why they're doing the behavior. Because like what you just said. So that's what I'm thinking, like for the audience part of that is that they're thinking, well, my child is doing this because of this reason.
Yep.
But it's like what you said, like I think his problem is that he just like he sees everybody else getting the attention, and then he's like, I'm not getting attention unless I'm acting up. And I know that's what's going on with him. That's why I'm like, okay, I'm only gonna give you attention when you're being behaved. Because I caught it soon enough to realize, okay, if I give you attention, then you're good. You listen. Versus the other. So it's like, I know that's like what he's doing, but at night, like last night, that was horrible. And I'm just like, okay, I felt bad, but at the same time, I'm like, I gotta take care of the other ones that are listening.
You have
so that's what I did,
Totally. Yeah.
So,
and I mean, for kids that like crave that attention, right? I always like to kids kind of come with different, every kid has an attention bucket and a control bucket.
Yeah, they do.
And they don't get to decide how big those buckets are. So some kids have a small attention bucket, a small control bucket. They get some attention and they're perfectly happy and satisfied. But for all kids, the buckets need to be filled for them to feel regulated and be able to like behave well.
Yeah.
And some kids come with very big attention buckets and maybe very big control buckets. And again, not their fault, not our fault. But that does take a lot more of a sense of control and a lot more attention for them to feel regulated and like baseline okay. And so for kids that have big attention buckets, one of the best strategies that I'll give you is like trying to just catch him being good as much as possible. And so you have lots of kids all running around. You're doing a lot of things, right? Like you are doing your best for everyone and your best is enough. So often moms I talk to feel really guilty when kids have big attention buckets because they feel like they're not doing enough. And like,
oh yeah, that's why I set mine. Some days I set them right next to me when I'm working. I'm like, because I feel bad. I'm like, well, you color, you draw, because that's what he likes to do.
I love that.
And I'm like, just sit next to me.
Yeah.
So that's what I've come. I'm like, that works. So I'm not. So it takes care of that guilt. That's how I did it.
Right. Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And like, no mom needs to feel guilt for their kid having a big attention bucket. But here is a strategy that you can try. And so this is one of my favorite ones. This is like another one about how our brain works, because our brain, like I'm sure with like I only have 3 kids and I feel like that is so many people. So I cannot even imagine the 8. But like in general, as humans, our brains are trained to look for what's wrong. Like,
yes, it is.
My silly example for this is when my husband and I were first married, we bought like, in the silverware drawer, you get the little thing that holds all the silverware.
Oh, yeah.
Like the sorter thing. Okay. So we got one of those and we got silverware, and we, it came with like the big forks and like the regular forks. Like I think one's a dinner fork and a salad fork. I don't know. We're very simple. We don't eat like that. But the set we got had 2 different size forks. And at that time we would kind of like switch off. We kind of split the role of doing the dishes and unload, putting the clean dishes away. And for some reason, this man would always mix up the forks. They were all jumbled together. There's like a clear section for the big forks and a clear section for the small forks. But whenever he would put the dishes away, they would all be mixed together. And so I'm like, I would always notice that the forks are wrong. And so I would hold him up and I would try to show him. And I'm like, well, you're a very smart person. You can see these are different sizes, right? It was kind of a thing. But so this poor man, though, anytime he would do the dishes, put all the clean dishes away, I would notice it was wrong and I would give him a hard time for it. Right. But let's say he came home and he did clean the whole kitchen, he put it all away correctly. I would not notice. I wouldn't remember that it was messy because it's always kind of, he would get nothing. He would get 0 attention for doing it right, but also much, loving nagging for doing it wrong. But that's how it works with our kids too, right? We are doing so many things. And so anytime we hear someone yell or cry or misbehave or not listen, we're like all over it with the lectures or the corrections and all of that. But then when they're just like playing nicely or sitting next to us quietly or just being independently or like not screaming, we're like, man, I got to get some laundry done. Man, I got to do this. Man, I'm going to get something off my to-do list, which means we accidentally teach our kids the only way to really get our attention is to act up. Because when they're good, we kind of disappear. And then we pop back in when someone starts crying. And so that is us doing our very best to balance all of the demands of life, but also it accidentally reinforces a lot of the behaviors that are also driving us crazy and making us frustrated at the kid.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So one of my favorite switches for this is you actually just have to rewire your brain. Like that is part of our survival brain that it just always notices what's wrong. It just does that. It's just always going to tell you what's wrong. It's not going to, anything that's as it should be, it's going to skip over. That's just how all of our brains work. But we can retrain our brain to start noticing the good. And I was just sharing this with the client on my call right before this. So I'm going to tell you what I tell my clients is you put an alarm on your phone on vibrate so no one else can hear it go off, and set it for intervals, maybe every half hour, maybe every hour, maybe every 10 minutes, as frequently as you can stand without going crazy. And every time your phone vibrates, you just look up at the kid, all the kids, the kid you're focusing on, and see if there's anything that child is doing that is positive or maybe just like neutral. Like you're just not coloring on the walls right now. Yeah. And then if you find anything positive or neutral, you just say that. You just give them some attention and praise for that. Maybe it's like, oh my gosh, I love how nicely you're playing with your siblings, or oh, you are cleaning so well, or you're so focused. Maybe it's just giving them a little hug or a pat on the back or a little high five, some kind of attention for the good stuff. if you look up and they are midst coloring on their sibling's face or, whatever, pulling someone's hair, you just handle the behavior. You don't praise that, obviously. You just wait for the
Well,
next
yeah.
time for it to go off to give them attention.
Well, no, that helps because I'm like thinking, they color on each other. I'm just like at the stage that I'm at, I'm like, as long as they're not killing anybody, they're not
Yep.
doing anything to
No
hurt
one's
anybody.
bleeding. Yes.
Yeah, just
Yes.
leave it alone.
You're having fun. Yes. My daughter
It's
likes
when
to
they're
creatively
quiet.
color all over herself. And I'm like, it's just below the line. That's fine. That's fine. We're going to choose our battles. That's not worth it to me.
Yeah, some of them I'm
It's
just like,
beautiful
pick and
art
choose,
on your
pick and
leg. That's
choose.
fine.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I think a lot of parents have to learn is to pick
Mhm.
and choose the battles.
Yes.
Don't pick all of them. Like my husband,
Mhm.
he is only child, and me, all I had was just my sister.
Yeah.
So I wanted a big family, so that's how that
Yeah.
went. But even in that, it's kind of one of those things that he didn't get the gift and the luxury of fighting with somebody. Because
Yeah.
like there is beauty in having a sibling. I'm like, don't be a cruel parent and just have one. You need to have another one
Uh-huh.
just so that they learn how to fight, how to save your spouse. Save yourself some time and energy.
Yeah, siblings are the best way to practice. I mean, definitely you can do that if
They
you only
are.
have one child, but siblings are good for learning how to fight and like work out social things well, as long as we're in there to help give them support. If left to their own devices, some kids do not figure it out well. And
No, but I'm just saying, like, a majority. I'm like
yeah.
I said, just me and my sister. I'm like, I hated having just her to play with. I'm like, it
Mm,
would have been better if there would have been another one, so at least had another option. I'm
yeah,
just saying.
yeah,
But at the same time, it's like we very much learn. Like I learned a long
yeah,
time ago, pick and choose battles. My husband
yeah.
didn't get that, so he's like, every battle. I'm like,
He's
no.
picking everyone. Yeah,
Yes,
yep,
and so he's learned over time with me, like, and the kids, like, I don't
yeah,
pick all of them. That's why
no.
I'm like, when the house is quiet, in our case, because of the boys, 7 boys, 1 girl. I mean, like,
Oh
come
my
on, like,
goodness.
when it's quiet, we know something's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the
Up
opposite.
to
Because our
something.
daughter, she's like, she's perfect when she's quiet. It's when she
Mm-hmm.
screams that we're like, okay, something's
Yeah.
got to be done.
Yep.
But outside of that, I'm just wondering, what about for like the parent when they say like their child doesn't care about rewards or consequences? Because you gave some really good tips, of, like just set your timer for like 10 minutes, 30 minutes
Yeah.
without going crazy for the
Mhm.
timer part of it, going to praise their behavior or
Yep.
like they're doing something. So what do you do about those children that are just like, I don't care. I'm still gonna do what I want to do. Those my little
Yeah.
Christian, bless his heart.
Yeah. So sometimes what we think is rewarding or punishing just is not it. So a lot of it is like deeply understanding what works for our kid and knowing
Okay.
that what worked for their siblings might not be the thing for them. Like of my 3 kids, I parent all 3 of my kids very differently. And none of it is the way that I like my ideal, how I would love to be a parent. Like I've had to
Oh yeah.
find what works for each kid and adjust my style to meet their needs for how their brain works. And so there are kids that, I mean, some kids will, have the consequence and be like, I don't care, but they do. They're just trying to like mess with you. Other kids, they really might not. Like when I was like, I'm still an avid reader. I love reading. But when I was growing up, the most serious punishment for me was I was not allowed to read for a while. Now, if you tried that with another kid, they would not care. But that was very terrible for me. Like, do not take away my books. So some of it is just like really knowing what works for your kids. What is their language? What is their currency? Both for praise for all the good things, but also when we are looking at like a consequence. Like if you have a child that loves attention and the consequence is like giving them lectures, that you're giving them so much attention for the bad behavior that you're accidentally reinforcing it. So that's why it's not working. It's because you're actually just paying them. You're like, yep, I'm gonna keep here's all my attention for this. You keep doing that, we're gonna talk about this for hours. Maybe you're yelling, maybe it's not a fun conversation. Your kid might still be taking that as all the attention and soaking it up. And you'll know that if they keep doing the thing.
True.
And so, yeah, so it's like all just like very, like really understanding your unique child's brain and what works for them.
Because I know, like, I've got them pinned down to like how to talk to each child differently.
Yeah.
That's been the magical part with all of the kids that I got. But even at that, it's like when you had said that, but like for the consequence part, I was like immediately thinking, Christian, you said about a book, and I was like, Christian does not like when his drawing stuff is taken away. He loves to draw. And I'm like, there's something I never thought of.
Yeah.
Was that part. Because like the reward, like he's told me what he wants for reward is for us to go out to eat. And I'm like, well, okay, well, how can it be that simple? But I suppose to him, it is that simple because he's getting that love and attention one-on-one. But I never thought about the drawing. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Well,
I know he's gonna not want to go to bed.
I always want to emphasize like all the positive before we do any like takeaway.
Oh yeah.
So like for him, like if you want to use it for that, I'm all about it. But I would be very clear, like this is a privilege. Like the drawing stuff is special, and you every day you're earning your drawing stuff by following our rules or whatever. Like make it very clear how he gets it. And you lost that privilege for today because you weren't following the rules. Because sometimes what we do is in like our panic and our frustration and our fight or flight brain, we just like start taking away everything, right? Like no Christmas presents. No, we're canceling our trip. We don't mean any of it. But it was never actually the deal, right? Like my kids aren't earning their Christmas gifts. They get it because they're my kid. So anytime we are thinking about consequences, that's just like another common error that people, not that you were going to make it, but just like that like brought up like, oh my goodness, this is like a big area people struggle with because they just like start pulling stuff away last minute. If you're really trying to change behavior, you have a plan in advance of like, this is how I'm going to respond to this. And things, either you get things for free from me or it's a privilege that you're earning, and it has to be super clear to the kids.
No, that makes sense because I got to thinking that's why the TV worked. Because I've told the kids, I'm like, you don't get any TV at all unless the living room is cleaned up and the dining room is cleaned up. That's the only time. Because they never fight over who gets to do that. They fight over who gets to do dishes in their table jobs. Like they fight over that stuff, but they don't never fight over who gets to put the toys away. So I'm like, and I've told them before, I'm like, if you each put 10 away, guess what? 10 times 6 of you doing work is 60 toys put away.
Many hands make light work.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. And it makes being a team so much easier.
Yes.
So then I'm also wondering, like, how do you stay calm and patient? Because you just said about like for the Christmas presents is a great example. Like flying off the handle before you set everything up. Like what you said, you have to set up the consequence first. And explain it first. But then if you're in that moment of just like, I'm not giving you anything for Christmas. How do you at that time stay calm when your child is pushing every button because they know how to push buttons?
Yeah. Okay. So I love that you asked it that way, because what I teach people to do is like, this is the example I use, like your kid knows how to push all your buttons. What we're going to do is we're going to cut the strings that attach those buttons to you. So they can press all the buttons, but nothing happens inside you. No longer is it evoking this big emotional response. And so like another thing that's missing from a lot of the typical parenting strategies is like, why does it make us so mad? Why are we triggered by certain things? And like often we can like change our perspective on that or understand it a little bit better. So we're just like genuinely not triggered by it anymore. So I always wonder, I'm like my kid is doing a thing and I'm having big feelings about it. My kid isn't causing my emotions. I'm in charge of my emotions. And it's actually my thoughts or the story that I'm telling myself that's causing my emotions, not what my kid's doing. So if my kid's having a meltdown in the grocery store, everyone's looking at me, right? Maybe like you have the skills to keep you out of fight or flight. So you're able to stay with your rational brain, which is the first step. But then in that moment, if I'm thinking that my kid is doing this on purpose, they're being manipulative, they shouldn't be doing this, all of those thoughts are going to be those usually evoke big icky feelings inside of me, which might then send me into fight or flight or just make it really hard for me to stay patient. I feel angry when I think that. I don't feel patient when I think that. If I can look at my kid doing the exact same thing and I can be like, oh man, they are having a really hard time right now. Wow, something is really going on for them. I wonder what is happening. Like I want like trying to get more into curiosity, you're going to solve that so much better versus anger. And so a lot of it's kind of controlling changing the story we tell ourselves about our kids' challenging behavior. So we're not triggered by it. We're not angry. My favorite emotions for parenting are compassion, curiosity, confidence, and calm. So I want to think any thoughts or stories that can put me into those emotions. Because when I'm feeling curious, I can kind of understand my kid's perspective and come up with better solutions. If I'm feeling calm, I'm going to help my kid meet my calm. If I'm feeling compassion, I'm really understanding their side and showing empathy. And if I'm feeling confident, I think that's the last one I didn't explain, then I'm like, okay, I can handle this. I'm not going to freeze in like panic because I'm like, oh yeah, I can totally handle this. I'm confident.
Now, what you just said makes totally sense for a woman I had seen in the grocery store. My kids, I told them before, I'm like, there are mean mommy and daddies out there. Like, I've told them. And like there was a mom that was in the grocery store. I won't forget. My son still talks about it. There was a mean mommy who's right in the grocery store said about spanking her kid if they didn't, do this or do that. And I was like, kid wasn't doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
I think she only had 3 of them. And I'm like, you only got 3. You got it easy. Like, what was going on with her? Like, I couldn't figure that out. But my son, like, he heard that and he's like, you are right. There are mean mommies and daddies that will do that. And I'm like, I told you.
Yeah.
Because, like, so, like, in that moment, like what you had just said makes sense to that mom, like what she would have or could have been feeling.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know
sure
her
she
story.
was trying her very best. And we don't know. Maybe there's just, the numbers. There's maybe lots of other factors of why, or like not enough skills to stay calm. So I never judge anyone.
I don't know her. No, but I mean, like in that moment though, it's like that's what I went back to because I was thinking about that lady. But it's like I don't know her story. I don't know what happened. Like maybe she just had a loved one pass. Who knows? But the thing was that my son finally understood that there are parents out there who have the anger issues or will go do something because we don't do those things, and my kids know that.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that's helpful, like what you just said though, for about the behavior part of not knowing what is going on in that moment of maybe they're not trying to be manipulative, but it's coming across as curiosity versus the anger. Your kid ain't trying to do something to tick you off. But I don't know, like even adults, I've learned, sadly enough, in one of the conferences that I've attended, the quickest way to irritate any adult, I just say the word lazy, and they immediately go off. And I'm like, I just said something, and it's just like, what the whole room? I'm like, you guys are acting worse than any of my kids combined.
Yeah.
But it was so weird how just one word set off all these grown adults that a lot of them were in my age group or older. And I was just like, but it made sense, like with what you said, because it's something that's happened to them and they're unaware because they've never done the work clearly. Because the word lazy doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's clear that they've never done the work to remove that emotion and the meaning attached to it.
Exactly.
So how does a person know if it's the behavior or something deeper, like the anxiety or the ADHD or sensory issues?
Yeah. So like from my perspective, I always just like look at what the child is doing. Like diagnoses are getting a diagnosis is really helpful if it is giving you more access to services, right? There are lots of great services out there for some diagnoses, more school support. So like that is really helpful for all of that. But when it comes down to actually changing our child's behavior, we can work on any behavior no matter what our child's diagnosis is. And like as a parent, I have a child with autism, I have a child with ADHD. And so with both of those, sometimes people are like, oh yeah, they're just always going to have behavior problems. It's always going to be like that. Your life is just always going to be hard. And I have the best life. My kids are amazing. And I refuse to accept that for me or anyone that your life is just going to be hard because of a diagnosis. So I'm always looking at, but again, like that is I guide a lot of people through that process when they start working with me. They're like, I don't know if anything is going on. And I'm like I don't diagnose, but I'm helpful. Like, okay, there's enough, signs that maybe we should pursue an evaluation. Let's get more information because that might lead to helpful services. But regardless of whatever that is, we can still be working on the behaviors the whole time.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense because I know like the one with the autism that I have for my son, like he's I don't know if there's a different level. I'm just like he can talk, but I have worked so hard on his behaviors. Like a lot of them. I'm just like, I wish that he would get to the point where he could just catch them before he goes and does something. But at the same time, I'm like, well, at the same time, I told him, I said, I'm working on me too, trying to catch my stuff. So I almost like wonder like if that's helping him understand, okay, if mommy's working on herself and she's this old, am I going to be able to, catch it at the same time? Because it's like when we've got those strong-willed children, he can be so sweet and then just so difficult. And then, what one are we going to be right now at this moment? And then it's just like, okay, I'd heard at one point, like I'm taking one of those parenting classes years ago because of a thing. And I'm just like, who can, might as well try it,
Yeah.
But I did like one of those raspberries, like when you're upset. Like just like blow a raspberry.
Yeah.
I've tried to do that with one of my kids, and they looked at me like, what? And I was like, it didn't do like what it's supposed to, which was get them out of the anger. And I'm like, okay, that didn't help. But I told the person that was running the class, I'm like, this stuff doesn't work. Like this parenting thing you're trying to do, this does not work. And she's like, well, it works for some. It works for my kids. I'm like, great, but it doesn't work for mine. And that's okay. But how do you know, like when you're looking for like the different parenting programs, because there are a lot of them.
Yes.
Like there's so many.
There's so many.
When you're looking for the programs, what is something that somebody should be looking for in a parenting program to help their child? You just want to be good parents, just want to help their kids.
Yeah.
Like that's all it really is. It's not like, oh my God, they're horrible kids are going to grow up to be this horrible person, but it's like you're trying to be mindful. Like I said, like my case, I'm raising somebody else's dad in my case because I got so many boys and one girl. So I'm raising somebody's mother. So I'm like, I'm trying to be mindful of that aspect at the same time. I'm like, okay, so how do you know to pick the right one for your child?
And there are so many out there, like you said. Some of them are great and some of them are not. And so things that I would look for. So first, everyone should just work with me because I'm the best. Maybe I'm biased, but if I'm not your thing, I think some of it is just like the connection with the person, right? Like if someone is listening to this podcast and they're like, oh, that Melissa is kind of annoying, like don't work with me then because you'll just get more of this, right? So some of it might be a connection to the person that you're working with. You want to feel like they understand you and like, there's just some chemistry between people. So look for the chemistry. But then I recommend looking to make sure like what is their background and experience. So some programs are just very heavily on like only professional experience, which is great. If you have to pick one, maybe pick that if you can't get both. But then a lot of them are like, oh yeah, I'm a mom and I have 5 kids and this has worked for all 5 of my kids. So you should do this too. And be very cautious with that. Because I've seen those influencers be like, yeah, I just tell my kids like we listen in the grocery store and then they all do. And I'm like, that is so nice for you. But like I've worked with thousands of kids and that does not actually work for most kids, especially the trickier ones for so many different reasons. And so you want to make sure that we have like a good sample size for their program. Something unique that I bring that I think adds a lot of value is I'm both. Like I have 20 professional years of experience plus I like live it every day with my own kids. And so that's really like helped me like kind of understand all the different perspectives. And like whenever I'm creating my programs, I'm like, I want to make it like I know all the challenges parents have with learning it as a parent, plus all the information. So I really focus on like, how can I get this in a digestible way for parents to learn? Right? Because we're all busy. We don't have a lot of time. We don't want, like we want to be able to listen to it while we're doing stuff. And so I think that the combined perspective can be just add a lot of value.
Well, I definitely agree with you on the combined experience plus the actual lived experience.
Yes.
Like the experience I was talking about, like the book experience that you've got.
Right. Yes.
And seeing people, and then there's the actual lived experience. To me, I'm like that's like when I'm glad you brought up the influencers too, because there's some of those parenting experts online that I'm seeing. I'm like, what the hell? You're giving advice that is bad. You should not be giving advice at all to anybody.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, some people, I'm just like, I feel like it'd be an all-day profession, I swear, to go to do a video by video, like why you should not be doing this.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm just saying, but it's because it's like when people are coming out with like this gentle parenting thing, I'm like, the reason why that didn't work for a lot of people was because one, the parent didn't understand it because they were trying to get it from an influencer that didn't understand it themselves. But not only that, they didn't explain that you have to do the work as a parent in order for it to work.
Exactly.
And gentle parenting does not work for these strong-willed kids, at least for mine. The one it didn't.
Yeah.
But it's also
we just can't learn how to parent by watching 2-minute reels.
No,
they
it's
like
impossible.
Make us feel good, but like that is not how you actually learn how to change your own behavior and change your child's behavior. So I think another red flag is like if you were to ask me that question about like bedtime, like what do I do for bedtime with my kid? And I were to like, oh, this is what works for every single kid for bedtime, I would want that to be a red flag for you. Like I want you to want someone to say, it depends, and like ask you a lot more questions. Because the truth is there is no bedtime that works for every single kid. And
Nope.
if once I, like for my clients, I know their kids really well. I know their brains. Like I've done it a long time. So I like, oh, this type of kid usually works with this. Like we're going to start here and then we're going to tailor it for their brain. Right. But I'm going to know a lot more about you and your kid before I recommend anything. And even then I'm going to say, this is like what is most likely to work. But if it doesn't, that's okay. We're just going to tweak it. I know exactly the different ways we can tweak it. So like you want someone that knows enough to say that versus like, yep, I do this for every single thing, right? So I do have a lot of little things that could help with in general with bedtime, but I would never say everyone should do this thing and it will definitely work for your kid no matter how their brain works or what your personality and parenting style is and all of that.
Well, yeah, and that's why I'm like, I don't agree with any of those that say that because I'm like, that's like a big red flag. Don't do it. Or like the parenting experts, I mean, nuts. Yeah. They've got the book experience. They've seen clients.
Yeah.
But they don't have the kids.
Right.
And I'm like, if you don't got the kids.
Yeah, no, I'm like, yeah, like I've had the meltdown in front of the school with everyone looking at me, right? Like you have
I
feel
like those
that,
are the worst, aren't they?
They are.
When the kid does that, my sister.
Happens. And so I think that like adds so much in someone that's trying to help you is like who's actually experienced that and like handled it well, right? You don't want someone perfect because that's not a thing, but someone that's like farther along the journey and like handles it in a way that you would want to handle those hard situations.
Yeah, and that's what I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Like too, like what you're saying, because I know like I was thinking about my sister when thank God my kids haven't done this yet. I'm hoping they never do. But like my sister, she's white like I am. She's got one child that is black. So I don't know what I think it's Milano or something. But anyways, the other two are Hispanic, so she doesn't got to really worry about it too much, you know. But the one that was black said in the store, "You're not my mommy."
Oh no.
So of course it was one of those, oh my God, somebody thinks that I'm taking this kid.
Yeah.
Like, how do I prove this kid is? And it's like, it's funny to think about it now because she's only like 2 or 3, like when she's so screaming.
Right. Yep.
But she's older now.
Fun memories. Much later.
But that's like the second one you said it. It's like, yep, that's the lived experience.
It happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, how do you react in that moment? And I had to ask her because I'm like, how does that work? And she's like, it didn't go so well. Because everybody's like, is this your kid? And it's like, yes, it's your kid. And then the kid has to admit that, yes, it is my mother. But, you know.
But you're trying to like handle the tantrum, and now like there's like good,
everybody
know,
like
good Samaritans are trying to maybe help a kid not get kidnapped. Oh my goodness, that happened to one of my clients recently, where her husband was with their son, and her son was just having a big meltdown, and the husband had to like pick him up and carry him out to the car because that's what works to calm him down. Though like the environment was too overstimulating. But then all the people see, me too. But then people were seeing a man drag a kid holding a kid kicking and screaming out to a parking lot to a car. And so like started videotaping it, and she felt like so embarrassed and guilty. But I'm like, but also isn't that kind of amazing? Because then if he was getting kidnapped, at least someone would find him quickly, right? Like those people were caring enough. They weren't rude. In that situation, sometimes it's not, people are not that nice. I think they were just like, oh my gosh, if something bad's happening, I want to have a recording of it. But that happens.
Well, yeah, I like how your take on that was, because I'm like, I would immediately feel like, what the? I'm like, I've had to do that with my son.
Yeah.
Before we've had all the other kids, like, you know,
right.
We've literally had to have done that, like inside a pizza ranch. People are looking at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just trying to take care of my kid. I'm just trying to do my best.
Yeah.
Because it's like that overstimulation. It's like, I wish that there was a way to help my child. Like I've done my best to help them.
Yeah.
Because you got to think on your feet. Like that's the biggest thing with him is I've had to think on my feet so fast. Thank God I can do it even with them having a brain injury. I'm just saying. It's a good thing. But even in those moments, it's like, okay, it's that overstimulation that he gets, and then it goes bigger, like what we were discussing in the beginning, like the one with the energy, and it just like expands. But it's like being able to contain my energy of like, okay, we're calm when he's having his meltdown and we got to get out of the store. Got all the other kids to bring with us, but having that energy to maintain and contain it at the same time. What would you say to parents that are listening that are like, how do I handle this correctly at that moment of just like, I've got to do this, but I just don't know how I can continue to handle this? Because like one of the things I've had to do is I just stopped going out to places with all my kids because it's just so much.
Yeah.
It's not because of the amount of kids. It's because
of that. Yeah. So, I mean, in
Yeah.
the moment, like if you're just in the moment and you're like, oh my gosh, like then you just do the best you can. Okay. So just do the best you can in the moment. What I'll do after something happens and I don't like how I handled it or how it went is I sit down and I actually evaluate it. I'm like, okay, what did I do well? What do I like about what happened? What do I want to do again? What do I not like? And this is not like a self-judgment critical session where I'm just feeling bad about myself. I'm like being a detective. And I'm like, okay, this did not go super well. Maybe I tried taking him out of the store, but that didn't really help. Or like maybe we skipped snack and lunch and I forgot about that, or I forgot her noise canceling headphones and that. So I'll like kind of write down all of that without judgment. And then I just come up with a plan for next time. Like, okay, next time we go to a restaurant, next time we go to the store, how can I just like prepare better? And so I literally have plans in my head now for every time we go anywhere of what I'm going to do if any of my kids do anything. I've like taken the time to think about it in advance. And I mean, I can't guess everything, but I have a general, I know what works for each kid. I figure it out in moments when I'm calm, when there are not people staring at me, when I don't have a screaming kid in front of me. And then I stay calm so I can remember my plan and execute it. And then if it doesn't go as well as I like, I evaluate again. And then I keep learning and I keep learning. And so that way I can like kind of come up with the perfect way to manage. And it's not every time, but then there's a lot less to figure out in that moment.
I like those tips because it's the same thing that I've applied in business. Like, what went well? What do I need to do differently? And what can I learn from this that I can apply for next time? But I never even thought about applying that for like when we're going places. I'm just like, we can't handle, like, it's not that we can't handle it, but it's like it just gets so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it's like I've had people like look at us funny. Like we've gotten, one of the things we did to fix one of the problems was we get like those handcuffs, like the child break the child handcuffs. The one with the strong will, that doesn't work for him because he's so smart. He figured out how to do it. The other kids did not.
Right.
But I'm like, that was one of the things that I'm like, this should work because it worked for one of the other kids.
Of course.
No, it did not.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, in all of this, I know that you had mentioned that you have or actually, no, you didn't mention it, but do you have like do you have a signature group coaching program? Because what is the Confidently Mommin? Or Mommin? I don't know if I even said the words right.
You did. Okay, yeah. So that's just the name of my business.
I want to know more about that. Yeah.
The name of my business is Confidently Mommin. And it's me. Yeah. And so I coach people in two different ways. So I have my one-on-one coaching program where I work with one parent one-on-one for 6 months and really just create the custom plan for them. Those clients get to text me anytime for support in between our sessions. So it's like you just have an expert on call to help you with all the things. And it's amazing. So we work on the behavior stuff, but also all the internal, the nervous system work, the triggers. We work on all of the things. And then in the last year, I started my group coaching program, which has all of the elements of that, but in a group format. So then there is like more of the community. Because I was finding when I was just doing one-on-one, I would, have talk to 6 clients a day, and they're all basically having the same issue, but they all feel like they're the only one because so many of us don't talk about it. And so I started my group container a year ago, and that is like a 3-month group program where I have an online course, and then there's group coaching calls that everyone comes. So you get coached, you can learn from others. There's a Facebook group. So that one has like that community aspect. And you get to learn a lot from others.
I like that. Because, like you said, I think what helps the most is like when we don't feel alone.
Yeah.
Because that's like the biggest thing. I'm like,
it is.
If anybody wants to influence about like the parenting, because that's like one of the things that haven't quite talked about, but I'm like, it's one of those things that it's nice that you're not alone, that you can do it with other people.
Exactly.
Like that's how I've learned so much that I've learned, just like you. Is you learn from somebody else that's already done there.
Right.
Then they've done that. And then it saves you time and money. I'm just saying.
That's why I'm the first one. If something is important to me, I'm going to go out and hire an expert to teach me how to do it.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to mess around with reading books or like courses or all that takes so much time. And I don't know if it's like the right fit for my kid. So I'm like the most cost-effective, time-effective way is I'm going to find me an expert and I'm going to learn everything from them. And so that's why like parent coaching is so effective, is because it is like you could read 100 books and try to piece all of it together for your kid's brain and like what does work for them and what doesn't and what's for this stage and what's for the next stage. But it's so frustrating and most people don't have time to do that. So it actually saves so much time and money to just hire someone that has already read millions of books and done it for 20 years, and you just learn what you need to know for your kids. So yeah, it's my favorite.
Yeah, you sound like about my bookshelf. I'm like about, I'm going to tell you about 30 of them are about the parenting ones, and people have asked if I've read them all, and I'm like, does it look like I could have a chance to read them all? A lot of it's been intuition.
Right.
A lot of it's this child picking up on this child's energy. That's a great thing about being so intuitive, is that I'm like, literally, it can be taught, but then you also learn how each child works.
Yeah.
And then you just apply it. But that's been all the parenting books. I'm like, that's one of the things. So like in your signature group coaching program that you had mentioned, like you're learning from other parents as well at the same time. Is there a specific age group that this is for? What do you recommend? Like, how do people get in contact, not just to get into this group that you have, like this program, but who is it that you really are working with in this age group, and the parents too?
Yeah. So my expertise is 18 months to 18 years. So if you have a kid in there, I'm your girl. And so the group is kind of just whoever joins, it's their age. I think, right? The current group is mostly younger ones, and then a couple teens. But who, like, it always just kind of depends. But like the process I teach and everything works for all of the ages. And so all of the ages are great. And I'm on social media, Confidently Mommin. And then I do have like a free e-guide, How to Get Kids to Listen, which has my best tips on how to get kids to listen, ones that do work for like almost all kids, especially the trickier kids. And so you can get that on my website for free. And that actually puts you on my email list. So then you're the first one to learn about the different, I do lots of events every month to help parents. So then you're the first one to know about all the different fun stuff that I'm doing.
That is extremely helpful, because I'm like, I'm going to follow you on social media, going to take and learn some stuff too. Because like I said, I'm like, just because I know, like I know a lot doesn't mean that I want to know everything, but I can't, that's the thing. Like even with the podcast, it's like having different experts on that. Hey, I don't deal with kids. So like once they're teenagers, that's because you created the problems that you got there. I'm better with the younger ones. Catch them while you can, as young as possible. That's why mine do dishes and stuff like that. They fight over that kind of stuff. But I'm like, that's a good thing, because it's like, you still can learn from other people. I'm like, I don't want to know everything, believe things. I'm like, nobody talks about boys. Like I've told parents the easiest way to get them to go to the bathroom before we go anywhere. I'm like, boys, have them all have a race.
Oh yeah, that works for girls too. Any kids.
Oh,
make it a game, make it fun. For girls.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I'm big on. It works.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, that helpful from 18 months to 18 years. That is a huge plus, because I've got quite a few people. I'm like, I can just send
all the things.
Very much.
Yeah,
so,
I do offer like a free consultation. So if someone is interested in working with me or knowing more about my programs, I do a free 1-hour Zoom call with them where we really kind of dig into exactly what's going on for their family. I'm really good at finding like the underlying root cause of the behaviors. Because right, like if we're just treating the behaviors, we're just kind of treating the weeds and like weed whacking. I want to figure out what the roots are and pull the weeds up by the roots. And so anyone can schedule that with me for free anytime, and we can talk more about what that's like and if my program is a good fit or not. And I'm not the best fit for everyone, and I'm the first person on those calls to be like, this is what you need instead, and I can point them in the right direction.
Well, no, that helps too. And then I'm also thinking, do you take insurance, or is it all private? How does that part of it work? Because I'm sure like listeners are curious too.
Yeah, I owned a business previous to this that was through insurance. And it was great. Insurance, just from a provider side, is very hard to work with. And it became all about checking boxes versus giving families what they actually needed. So I do not accept insurance, because I literally created this program to fill in all the gaps of what I know that these parents really need versus what insurance is willing to provide. So this is kind of like the missing gap for so many families that maybe are getting services through their insurance. But no, I don't want an insurance company telling me what's good enough for my clients, because it's...
Oh, no, that helps, because that's what I've been told too. Like when people ask me if I take insurance, I'm like, every single person has told me, be thankful to God you do not have to take insurance. And I'm like, well, yeah, because insurance doesn't want to have you get better. I'm just saying, like, how they're, like you said, check boxes.
Yeah.
Because how each person needs help is going to be different. So that's helpful on that. So just one more time, just for our audience, because I know I kind of talked a little bit longer. What's the best way for our audience to get in contact with you to find out about this group, or just to follow you on social media too?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have a conversation with everyone in your audience. So if they are ready for it, they can just go to my website and schedule their free call right now. Fill up my calendar. But if that feels scary, I'm not scary, I promise, but sometimes that feels a little intimidating, then yeah, get on my email list, follow me on social media, come to some of my events. And yeah, I would just love to connect with you in any way you feel ready for.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and your energy as always.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful.
As always, I just want to thank you for your time and energy while listening to today's episode of Healing for the Soul podcast. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Healing for the Soul podcast wherever you get your downloads, you're listening to your podcasts, and keep coming back for more episodes. Thank you, everyone, for your time and your energy while listening to today's episode of Healing for the Soul podcast, which also can be found on YouTube.